friends, how you guys doing today? So, being who I am and just searching for the perfect affordable drum set, I'm still on the hunt, man. And so, like many of you, I've graced all of the websites, Guitar Center, Sweetwater, Amazon, and for a long time I've been curious about some of the reviews I saw coming in with some of these drum sets on Amazon. I know some people have reviewed the Ashthorpe drum set. Several people have reviewed Eastar's drum sets. There's people reviewing Vivor. There's lots and lots and lots of these no-name brands that are producing drum sets, full drum sets with shells and hardware and everything. So if you see my page before, you saw my last video with reviewing and owning the Sound Percussion Lab Kicker drum set, which was great. However, I was sort of disappointed because with the Sound Percussion Lab's drum set, I noticed that you only get a 13-inch snare with 6 lugs. And so, I've owned, 13-inch snares before with the same size lugs, same amount of lugs and stuff like that. And it didn't really seem to bother me too much, a few years ago, but I started to notice when I was getting limitations with it, it sort of bothered me. So I looked into some of these drum sets that were on Amazon, and one that caught my eye was the Eastar drum set. It's the EDS-480. I think that's the actual model number of it. And what caught my eye about this is that after doing some research on Eastar products, that the snare drums were a full 14 inches with 8 lugs, and so that's like a pretty standard size. They do make some snare drums that are 14 inches that have 10 lugs, which is even better, in terms of really controlling the head on your drum, the drum head that is. But I wanted something with a larger snare drum, and I know I wanted a 20-inch bass drum. However, I just started to realize that I'm not really going to play my drum set out very much. If I'm going to gig, I'm probably going to use my Yamaha DD65 because I've already used that and I have a nice amplifier. So if I'm playing a relatively smaller gig, which is what I'm probably going to be playing, I'll play that pad and hook it up to the sound system and do it that way. I don't think I'm going to be doing many gigs with the full drum set. Obviously, I have not had this drum set long. In fact, just about 24 hours I've had it. So I've pretty much just put it together. I've already done some playing on it and some playing examples. And so far, I'm gonna tell you that yes, I'm extremely impressed. Now I'm gonna do separate pros and cons in a second, because there are definitely pros and there are definitely cons with it. I think the pros are going to outweigh it because of the way it sounds, and what I mean by that is that it sounds pretty good. I'm using all the stock heads that comes with the Eastar, everything that comes with it, all the hardware, even the cymbals, okay, the hi-hat and the crash cymbal that comes with it. So you're going to be able to hear all that and make a determination for yourself, because I know some of you have probably checked it out. So I hope this video is going to be helpful to you, and let's get into the pros and cons, and then we'll get into some playing examples. Okay, so two of the major pros with the Eastar kit I've noticed is when you're putting the kit together, one of the things that it comes with is actually wax, which you can actually put onto the drum lugs, which I thought was really cool. I'm not sure if it's actually wax or grease, but I think it's actually wax that you can put onto the lugs and get them really a little bit more lubricated, so you're keeping good health with the drum lugs. Now, I've put together a few drum sets for a long time, and I've got to be honest, even though it's possible, I don't remember this ever coming with a drum set. So I thought that was awesome that it actually comes with it, and it actually forces you to see that you should take care of your lugs and that they're serious about it. So although it's not a lot of wax, it's just a little bit to get you going. You certainly don't need a lot for each lug to put that. So I'm just going to place that down here. Now the other thing about this drum set that you might have heard is the snare drum. Now I have all of the stock heads on it, okay, and I put moon gels on all of them. I've even put moon gels on the bass drum stock head, okay. But the snare drum head itself, first of all, the snare sounds fabulous, but the snare drum head itself, as I'm touching it, it's almost identical to what I have here is a Remo Ambassador coated, and I swear it's almost the same thing. It's like very close to being similar. Now, you can argue that obviously the Ambassador coated is going to be a higher quality head than what comes with its stock. However, I was not expecting such a nice textured head to come on a snare drum and a drum set of this. So again, for the price of $349, that doesn't count tax, but to get a complete kit and to get all of this at a really good price, to me is fabulous. So those are two of the biggest pros, and you'll hear the other pro in a little while that I think it really does sound very, very good. It sounds excellent, actually. I gotta say, another pro that, with coming with a full drum set, I mean, these cymbals are certainly not, fantastic quality, but they really don't sound that bad. They actually sound pretty good. So I'm actually really surprised with how well the cymbals sound. I wouldn't be, as long as it holds together, it doesn't feel like the cheapest. It doesn't feel like the most expensive metal. It's pretty cheap. I've seen way cheaper cymbals on complete sets, and these are actually pretty good. So again, you'll hear in the examples what they sound like. But overall, I think the cymbals are decent, are pretty decent overall. Okay, so with a very inexpensive complete drum set, there are 100% going to be cons. So I'm going to talk about a few of the ones that I found. Okay, and this is not to take away anything of how the kit plays or sounds. I feel that it plays and sounds great so far, but I want to definitely go over the cons. It's going to be a little bit tough to see, but you're going to notice that if I press down on the shell, the wrapping is the wrapping is very loose. Okay, so it's not to say that it's going anywhere. It's not going anywhere, the wrapping. Okay, but the wrapping on the bass drum specifically, okay, I haven't really found it much other places, is extremely loose on the bass drum. Okay, so if you're using the kit a lot, I could see that maybe it might be a problem where this could start to rip, or it might start to come off. However, if you're just using it, like I'm probably using it not minimally in the house, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Okay. The other thing that's cheap is the hi-hat stand. Okay, now the hi-hat stand feels pretty good. Okay, however, I don't like how far the legs have to come out for it to be balanced with the pedal part of it itself. So you can see the tripod is open very much, and even if I close it a little bit, it's not going to be stable. Okay, so I'm not a fan of the hi-hat stand. The snare stand is great, it's fine. Okay, but the hi-hat stand, there's definitely a better out. Okay, so the pedal itself is actually a pretty good pedal that comes with it. I just had some issues with getting it to get a little bit looser. So as I was trying to adjust it, the screw on the bottom of it actually fell off. So there's nothing really wrong with the pedal at all. It's actually a decent pedal. It has two reinforcements. And I'm not the best at really being able to put drum pedals together, to be honest with you. Not my specialty. So I may go to a friend of mine and see maybe if he can just kind of help me with it. I'm not using this pedal on it. I'm using a Pearl pedal that I've always had, which works fine. However, the pedal that comes with it might be a little stiff, and adjusting it might be a little bit of an issue. So if you're like a new drummer, or if you're buying this for the first time for somebody, you might have some issues with the pedal, a little bit being a little stiff. However, if you use it right out of the box, it'll be fine. There won't be any issues with it. It's a good quality pedal. It's pretty sturdy. It's not quite as good as other pedals as I've seen that are with other complete drum sets, but it'll absolutely get the job done if you don't do any adjustments to it. If you do some adjustments to it using the screw on the side, you might have some issues with it. So just be careful with that. You don't want to let it go spring, because now when I try to put it back together, it's just going to be an issue of really getting the balance of it. So it's more of my issue. It's not really the issue, I think, with the pedal, but just something to keep in mind. But those are those are a few of the cons I've really found with the drum set. but nevertheless, it says you can get a full drum set, a full Yamaha Raideen drum set with hardware. And it would cost, without tax, I think it said $770. Now you're getting Yamaha shells, you're getting Yamaha hardware, you know, which is a little bit better than most normal hardware, okay, that you'll see in a lot of ways. This drum set, with hardware and with everything that I showed you, you know, for $349, and especially seeing some reviews online about it being a decent kit, I just couldn't really fathom paying $770 for a Poplar drum set, which is the same wood as this drum set, okay, you know, and saving like $400 roughly to get something that's probably going to sound very similar. And so I'm going to say that, you know, I'm not sure how long this drum set's going to last. I would think in most cases the Yamaha will last much longer than an Eastar kit, you know, with some of the faults that it has that I've gone over, some of the cons, you know, with the wrapping and the hardware. You know, but for what I need it for, if I'm just going to be practicing and having a drum set to play on, this feels really, really, really good, guys. I'm not going to lie. If you have something that doesn't need hardware, or if you wanted to get a cheaper option, what you could do is find a cheaper hi-hat stand, a cheaper cymbal stand, or even a cheaper cheaper hardware package. Hardware packages, there's one on Amazon that's Griffin that's like, I think $110 for a full hardware package, 2 cymbal stands, snare stand, and a hi-hat stand. And I think it might even come with a foot pedal. $100, which is a fabulous deal. And then so you would only be paying whatever with the drum set, with the Yamaha, $550, okay? However, you could get this, okay, and you might want to, even if you replace the hi-hat stand, it's gonna not equal that much at all. So if I wanted to go out and get a better hi-hat stand for the Eastar, I could do that, and it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Not that there's really anything wrong with the action on the hi-hat stand. It's good. I just don't like how big the legs are. Okay. I obviously don't like that the wrapping is loose on the bass drum. Okay. However, this is like I've said before, this is a room, or I may not have said that, but I'm in a garage that doesn't have air conditioning. So I don't really want to have, I think, a tremendously great drum set just because it's not the ideal temperature to have drums in. Thanks so much for watching the page. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet to the page, and like the video. Have an awesome day.